Небеса с небесами встретились, видно, Богом так было велено, наваждению мы доверились, две стихии любовью мерили, и мурашки по коже трепетной, жар и холод ночами мучает, гордость речи незримый деспот мой, не скрывай остров счастья тучами. Небеса с небесами встретились, видно, грянет и гром, и молния, две стихии любовью мерились, ты волна огня, берег моря, дар такою ценою выкупа заплатили за счастье дерзкое, ты в оковах иллюзий пылкая, я в плену свободы ветреной. Небеса с небесами встретились, видно, Богом так было велено, наваждению мы доверились, две стихии любовью мерились.
Okay, it's another evening in Prague. This is behind the Villa Labuť area, and basically I'm on a walk again this evening. I stopped work at a reasonable time. It's now about 6 o'clock, just before 6, and decided that I would use this day, because the weather is unusually good, for walking. You see, I had plans to do a lot of walking to lose weight over the whole of this lovely summer holiday, but it turned out that the holiday wasn't all that good for walking. At the end, I didn't do anything like the walking I was expecting to do, because obviously I had kids to look after. I had it was very, very, very hot, just too hot to be out in it. Maybe if I was a lot slimmer I could still go ahead and walk in it, but it was kind of like heat stroke inducing weather, and it wouldn't have been wise to go for long walks away from home. We'd probably get overcome and end up in hospital. So I thought to let discretion be the better part of valour and wait until it cooled down a little bit Right now it's in the probably mid-20s, I should say, Celsius. We're in Arska Ulica. It's a nice bright evening, no clouds up there. Zlata Uliczka. Oh, Zlata Uliczka, that's Gold Street. I don't think this is Gold Street though, is it? I don't think so. Not that I know of. Nevertheless, I wanted to have a bit of a walk. And we'll see how long it takes. I've already been on my feet about, I suppose, 10 minutes. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to walk through some areas which I've walked through before, and some areas which will be new. So I don't think I'm going to film in the parts where I've walked before. I think I'm going to aim to be on my feet for at least 2 hours, which would be the equivalent of a 6-kilometre walk, and that'd be my record for the last 5 weeks, I should think, if not a little bit longer. So that would get me back into the swing of things and give me something to build on. Some people have said that they think I've lost a little bit, but I think it can't be more than about half a kilometre per month over the last 2 months. I didn't really get to walk in England either, because that was all about going to Great Yarmouth, and I only had a short time there. It was difficult leaving. I shouldn't really, in retrospect, have left Elena on her own that long anyway without the kids, because she's not in a very good way. But Sophie had to have her thing, and I was hoping that I would do some serious exercise there, but that didn't happen. Now I have to try and find the best way across this big road here, which I think means going up there. Hotel Mercure. It doesn't look particularly interesting. It's got 3 stars. A few old... Oh, that's nice. It's a accounting machine, an accounting machine called Victor Khuliganov. So that's interesting. Things people put in there. Either that or it's an Enigma encoding machine, but it looks more like an old comptometer or whatever. Up ahead in the distance you may be able to see the Prague TV tower. I'm carrying my gold list and a little shopping with me, so that gives a little bit of extra weight on, I think. And I haven't got anything for really counting the distance covered, so I'm just going to take the time spent walking, counting it from 5:45, and when I left the office, and just assume it's 3.5 kilometres per hour, 7 for the 2 hours, or 3 for 1 hour and 6 for the 2 hours, something between the two. Depending on how fast I actually go, how well I can keep it up. Whether it's a dawdle or a reasonably fast walk. At the moment it's probably more like 4 than 3, but then it might get slower later. So there we are. This is a sort of spaghetti junction of tram lines here. There's a nice pink building over there on the corner. Looks almost like the seaside affair. This is the motorway that's going to go across the River Vistula, the biggest of the Vistula crossing rivers on this side of the town centre. And then that line there, that tram line there, that's what I have to follow. I've tried to do this before and I got rained out, and I filmed a bit of that. I don't think it's gone up yet as I speak, but by the time you hear this, which will probably be somewhere near Christmas, at the rate I'm doing them at the moment, because of my creative break, you'll probably see this rather a lot later, but then, you know, it's good to have a bit in hand. Because, you know, it's not so good to have, it's not so good to film in winter, so if I've got a bit of footage from the brighter time, it's probably going to be good anyway. Because footage in winter is usually glum and not so nice. It'd be nice to actually review the summer stuff in winter, so even though it may not be so actual, it'll still be, I suppose, pleasant to look at it. I'm just coming to the area around Florence, which I've done before, so I probably won't film this bit. The Allianz building over there, this Česká spořitelna, the old Atlas, you know, that looks a bit kind of a certain vintage. So I've come on a bit further down, so I've never been before. This is already the Amphora restaurant. It's a hotel kind of restaurant, and there's the number 8 tram. You've got a lot of kadeřnictví, which is your hairdressing, and hodinařství, which is your watchmakers. Trafika Teresa, not sure what that is, but it looks like it's got kind of toys and things like that in it. Španělské obklady a dlažby, koupelnové studio. Not sure what obklady means, but dlažby is tiling. Španělské means Spanish. Spanish tiles, of course. Well, I say of course, I mean, maybe somebody would care to differ. Maybe somebody thinks Italian tiles are better. But for me, I think that Spanish tiles are the top of the range, and that's what I got for my kitchen. Some live singing going on. They seem to be having a nice time. There's a lot of Chinese restaurants here. So far I've seen about 5 or 6 of them just on this stretch of road in the last 15 minutes. Ding Feng. Feng, I think, is plentiful, isn't it? With the, like the king with the central bar lengthened at either end. I can't remember which tone it's got. Is it Feng? Second tone? If in doubt, second tone. Or if in doubt, third tone, because at least that's got a bit of the second and the fourth in it. UniCredit. KB Komerční banka. So the narrow passage through to Krzyżakowa Street there, and this is the back end of Krzyżakowa metro station. And there's Krzyżyk, whatever that is, little cross. Looks as though it might be some kind of a gambling institution, make you a little bit cross if you lost. Looks as though it's had its windows burnt out. Nobody seems to have done much with that. And there's still a lot of land which is still waiting to be used here. There's Meteor Office Park, which I do believe I've been in for one or other thing there. This of course all was underwater in the big flood about, not sure, it was about 12 years ago or something. Right now we've got a lot of flooding going on. This year we've had massive flooding in 3 waves. There's quite a remarkable amount of flooding going on this year. So I don't know how much worse it can get. Asia House. They've got sushi here as well as Chinese. I never really am sure whether I believe that. I'm not sure that people should really combine. It's not authentic to combine those two sorts of food. And just to give you an idea of prices, you can get a set with really only half of a maki in, and for 5 rather measly nigiri for 159 crowns, which would be what? That would be, well, I suppose about 30 zlotys, which is, you know, on the cusp. But I'm not sure that it's not that bad as far as price is concerned, especially bearing in mind we're not very central already. But I'm just would be really surprised if there's anything like the expected quality there. They even look bad on the photo, and food very rarely looks better in real life than it does on the photo. Instead of shirt on saying I don't want to look sweet. I'm not sure that shirt does it though. We're getting up here near Erwin Juncker. So Erwin Junker's got his grinding technology up there, his tools and his cutter grinders. So if you just happen to want any of them, then you can just nip up there and get some. So obsession with gambling in this place. So many gambling places, tip games. Been going for about 45 minutes now. When I've done an hour, I might just have a break to do some gold list, because I'm quite behind on that as well. I didn't do as much of that as I wanted to over the holiday, but what I did do was I started to get into my Japanese a bit more seriously. And I'm trying to really adapt the gold list a little bit to there's an example of what happens when you put one small house next to a bigger house and then take the small house away. I'm just seeing how I can adapt the gold list to really suit the learning needs of somebody who wants to learn kanjis. And I want to learn kanjis both. I want to know about the use of kanjis in Chinese. I want to know about the use of the common set. I want to find the common set of the kanjis which are used both commonly in Chinese and commonly in Japanese, and then focus up on that group first, and then learn separately the kanjis which are common in Chinese but which don't appear in Japanese, and then the kanji finally which are common in Japanese and don't appear in Chinese very commonly. Obviously they all come from Chinese except for one, which is no, not just one, there's more than one. There is so-called koku-ji or something like that, where they make their national symbols. They're the kanjis which have arisen in China. There's a couple of hundred of those, of which one, the word for gland, went back to Chinese again from Japanese. But they're also, of course, worth learning as a separate group. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be producing an atlas of using Excel this time. An atlas which brings together the various bits of disparate knowledge about Chinese and Japanese that I've got in different books, sort of bring them all together into a single spreadsheet, which will enable you to filter them as you want, index them, sort them as you want. That's obviously a big task, but I'll take them 20 at a time and see how it goes. I did the first 20 from the Heisig book. I'm starting with the Heisig book, not the Heisig book, the Hoenig book. I get Hoenig and Heisig muddled up the whole time. The Hoenig book is remembering Chinese characters 200. It's got an impossible to remember title. Remembering the kanji or something. No, that's Heisig's book. It's learning and remembering 2178 Chinese characters. Oh, it's impossible to. If you can remember the title of that book, you can probably remember several kanji with the same space in your brain as just remembering the title of the book by Dr. Hoenig. But it's very clearly a self-published book. If it had an editor who'd gone through certain rigours, not only would there not be certain repetitions of words in some of the stories he makes and other mistakes, but also the editor would have pulled him up short for doing certain things in it which he does because he wants to. So it's obviously it's a very clearly shows all the quirks of a self-edited book, which I think is fantastic. Actually, he's pretty much made my mind up to do the same thing when I do my gold list book, not to bother with any editorial rigour, but just to do my own thing with it. It may have plenty of faults, but at least makes for an original book, one that's actually quite worth having rather than the usual pap you get. So there we are. And he has this website called EZ Chinese Say, where he gives bits of his book away as well, which maybe he wouldn't be able to do if he had got it done, published by somebody else. But it was easy getting it on Amazon and everything. There's a hunting shop, or fishing, rybarska specjalka. It's got all the people's fishing bags in. There you are, you see, there's a nice bag for going away with. You've got your whole, what you got there, you've got all your cutlery for two folks. There's also another nice one. After you've caught your fish, you can eat it. Looks as though somebody's made a bungled attempt to rob this shop. They've gone round it in a big round circle scratching the glass, but they seem to have been unable to actually remove the piece they've scratched out. That looks like a bungled robbery attempt. So there you go. I don't think it's something they should necessarily be leaving there as an invitation for somebody else to finish the job, but that's up to them. Seem to be getting into a more rural part now, at least not so built up. And then it apparently goes to a place called Deeper Carlin, or Inner or Outer Carlin, or something like that, or Carlin Black Label. The sale from Czech Real Estate. This looks like it needs a bit of attention. There's a lot of stuff here that still could do with a lot of work done on them. The economy ran out before the opportunities to invest did. But it'll be back, won't it? There has to be, doesn't it? What we got here? It's quite nice. Again, that's disused, but further down it's quite nice, isn't it? Little parky bit here. Oh, it's a bit parky. Maybe that's a nicer place to walk. Right. Well, there's the odd mushroom here. I wouldn't like to say whether they're edible or not, but I think not. The other day I did start to go through my kids, Sophie's, school books for next year with her, and started to go through the Nature Atlas that is one of the books that I had to get, and I thought it was really very well made, and with lots and lots of really interesting things. They don't go really very deeply into any subject because it's for 10-year-olds, 10 to 11-year-olds, but really well made, I have to say. And one of the things that they showed was how on one page they had mushrooms, and they have every mushroom that's good or to eat, or which is a gourmet mushroom of the wild mushrooms you can collect, has another mushroom which is very, very similar to it, and which, if you're not careful, you might pick the wrong one by mistake. Now, there's positives and negatives about showing that. One of them, the negative side might be that you've given 11-year-olds the idea that they might have been equipped to identify poisonous mushrooms and non-poisonous mushrooms, whereas the details they might quickly forget. That's the downside. But the plus side is that quite a lot of them will have it brought home to them that it's actually not as easy as it looks to collect mushrooms and be sure you haven't got poisonous ones, and therefore to check it out and make sure that before they do eat one, they've got somebody a little bit more versed in mushroom gathering to just check that it isn't the poisonous one, or at least to go home and get the book and have another look to see which one they've got. So you're allowed to, this is what you're allowed to do here. You're allowed to have your dog, you're allowed to play ball. I think that's playing ball, isn't it? Or is it just pretending to be a tree? And you're allowed to walk on the grass. Surely that doesn't make an awful lot of sense, does it? These are all the things which you're normally not allowed to do. But they've got green squares around them. That seems to be normally the sort of thing you'd put around something that permits you to do something rather than disallows you from doing anything. I can't understand it. And why would they have squares up specifically permitting people to do the things that they'd do anyway? Maybe it's just for the avoidance of doubt or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's a funny country, the Czech Republic. I often find things that I don't properly understand here. Okay, I'll switch it back on again when I come across something more to comment on. It didn't take long to find something worth commenting on. It's around the next corner. There's a Napamatku thing. Third of September 1890. So I think somebody who worked on some flood. Or is it 1990? It's difficult to say whether it's 18 or 1990 right now, but there's so many abbreviations on there that it's difficult to understand it, but it's about people that helped in the flood. So, and behind it is this interesting classical looking building, which is called Vojenský ústřední archiv, which is what's at the Central Military Archive, would it be? Nice looking place. Maybe that's not the sort of thing you'd want to necessarily be found filming though, so I think I'll stop. So here we have the signpost for a face we've seen before, or at least heard before, Dmitry Chvorostovsky, coming on the 27th of the 8th to the Rudolfinum. There's the Hotel Olympic, or Inter-Hotel Olympic I should say, Congress. Behind here we're getting quite a nice view of this unorthodox building, one of Sun Tower apartments for sale. It looks very unusual, even though really the unusual look about it is probably pretty much only because of the way of the movable slats coming down the outside. Up until that point it's probably a pretty straightforward, straight building. It's the optical really illusion of the sort of the slats which makes the building look as though it's waving in and out. So once you look beyond that, if you just look at the building itself, the actual structural part, it's not doing any such thing. Once again, casino. It seems there are casinos everywhere. That's a non-stop casino. So there's another little non-stop casino here. So it's all casinos all the way in this country. People seem to be given over to gambling. I think it's quite a good thing that it's a little bit more under control in Poland than here. I don't think it's good the way they've just allowed people to set up their casinos, obviously without an awful lot of, I don't want to say that there's no control on it, there probably is some control, but certainly not a great deal of control by the looks of things. So I've got the green man. I've driven past here, I've driven around down there and around there before, more than once. When I drive in, I tend to come around this way, down that side, and then round there, and then on the Naberezhny, or whatever they call it, the embankment. So it's not like this is entirely unfamiliar to me, but I don't think I've walked here. Well, I know I haven't walked here, and I don't think I've filmed here. The advert for Lobkovich there has a CZ on the end. That's because Czech was actually written with a CZ. This has got logo all over the place. Obviously this Bohemia promo place obviously is all about putting people's logos on things and making lots of them. So they've got little things with all people's different logos on. So if you want to have your logo put on something for gifts, then that's somewhere where they obviously do it. Maybe that's somewhere for me to come before deciding what we're going to do for the Christmas presents this year. Maybe that's an idea. And then to buy them not too late, so that I don't end up getting chickens and Damien specialities. That's unusual. Hope they don't mean that Damien kid off that nasty film that I can't even remember the title of. Yeah, so Lobkovich has got a CZ on the end because before Jan Hus started to do his funky Protestant stuff, Czech was written like Polish with CZs for ch, SZs for sh, and I don't know if it had RZ for j, but the sound of Czech, the difficult sound, that the one that's in the Guinness Book of Records as being the hardest sound a human being can make. But certainly, and there's still following the tram line here. Certainly, after Jan Hus, he says it should be one sound, one sign, and he basically said, well, long ah is also a sound, so that got accents put in it as well. So he introduced all the various accents and the use of Y and I with separate functions, even though by that time they probably still already sounded the same. These things are all down to Jan Hus, the reformer, and so basically, why didn't Poland follow suit? Well, first of all, Poland also has different sounds. So you've got a sh sound, which is different to the sh sound. You've got a ch sound, which is different to the tr sound. And you've got a j sound, which is different to the zh sound. So if you went and started sticking the Hacek on, it would become very confusing, because there wouldn't be a clear distinction, or a clear enough distinction, between the zh and the zh, and the sh and the sh, and the tr and the ch. So in order to make sure that those much richer set of sounds in Polish, in fact, strangely enough, Polish has all the sounds you need to speak Mandarin Chinese, except for and of course most Polish people learn how to do something like when they learn English. So the Polish are quite good with Chinese, other than the fact there are not that many Chinese folk there to practice on, but when they try, they basically succeed with being able to pronounce it better than most other people. So so there we are, we're into deeper Carlin now. Gradually going uphill. Belinki, Derechki. Belinki's herbs, Derechki's gifts. So if you want herbal gifts, then that's the place to come. I thought I felt some rain on my face then, but it can't really be because the sky has hardly any cloud in it. So I don't think there's gonna, if that was just a tiny spot, then it must have come from way over there, which isn't impossible I suppose, but I don't expect much by way of rain. Maybe it's just my sweat because of going uphill, I don't know. There's an interesting detail. That little thing there, the kneeling child between the windows up there. The Antique Bazaar, Antiquariat Procházka. They're selling detective books, detektivki, among other things. Erotic City, I have to take their word for it. And what's the next one? Fan Pro. Another Profanoushki Sportu. So it's for fans of sport. So it looks like a shop with kits in. I thought it was another betting place for a minute, but it's something a bit more wholesome than that. There's Palmovka. And there's a volny bit in there, which means a free flat. If you want to have a free flat, it means free in the sense of unoccupied, not in the sense of you don't have to pay the rent. That's a different volny, that's a different free rather, it's not volny. It simply means it's free to take for rent if you want to. I can think of worse places to live. You get a tram into the centre quite easily from there, or walk occasionally if you want to. So it's just a gentle slope up from down there, and I'm looking for a restaurant that I wanted to try, which is Thai food and Japanese food. It's called Thaioishi. Thaioishi. Thai, obviously Thai, means Thai food. Oishi is obviously Japanese for delicious. In fact, there should be two eyes, they've only put one eye on in the name of the restaurant. But I'll have to forgive them for that. And by my map, it should be down here somewhere. Right, Tlačítko pro chodce. Čekejte. So number 16 is going to go, or 19 rather. you are. That's the kind of dome arrangement on that hill. Looking back at that wonky building now, which we were at about 8 minutes ago. I actually used the little technique. Switch the GPS on on my phone, and it should tell me what my average speed is on foot. It says 4 kilometers, 4.0 kilometers an hour. Okay, I think I'll turn that off now. It's given me an idea of, and I'll need it to find the map to find the restaurant in a second. There's an interesting shop here, which is called Samoobsluha. Vše za super ceny, vychodny nákup pro celou rodinu. Something nice for all the family. And here they've got lovely African-looking carvings of cats and you name it. And there's some snakes with their fangs all down and that. How they made them I don't know, but they're all different sizes, and giraffes and you name it. That's obviously regarded as an essential buy for all the family. So there we are. Looks like a complete junk shop. It's brilliant. I think that's the sort of thing that I'd have loved when I was a kid. I probably wouldn't give 2 pence for anything in there now, but there we are. That's how perceptions change as you change in age. So this is Nowakovskich, or Nowakovich, in Liben or Praha 8. I thought it was Karlin, but it's Liben already. So there we go. Shows what I know. Fortuna. Saskova Kancelar again, more betting. Mind you, I used to look after these people in Poland a little bit, so they're called professional there. For a few years I audited. So I shouldn't complain. Palmovka. There's some quite imposing houses around here anyway. The train at the end there going up. So this Thaioishi is apparently number 9 on here. Over there I've got Indian restaurant, curry house. That'll be interesting to get the prices on. I generally tend to think that curry here is rather expensive and often not too good. But then I have had some very good curry and it's cost me a fortune. But since this isn't very central, there's a chance that you could get, in theory, since Czechs are actually quite good at restaurants. They're not good at waitering in the restaurants, but they're good at preparing the food. Hello. See what kind of prices they've got in this here curry house. So, base of the meal is sauce of light consistency made by mixture of spices. That's nice, a mixture of spices comes and starts making a sauce for you. So, most of them are in the region of, well, the cheap ones, the vegetarian ones, 130, then you've got ones at 180, lamb curry at the high end is 180. So you've got chicken tikka masala, seems to be 200. And what is that? That's, I suppose, about, we'll divide it by 30 for pounds. That's about £8 a go, isn't it? If you divide it by 5, that's 40 zlotys a curry. May not be too bad. May not be too bad. So where's this? Ah, here we go. Thaioishi. Right, this is what I'm going to try. That's the Claire Compton review that I've read on the internet, actually, from the Prague Post. I was inspired by this to try this out, actually, from this piece of writing, so we'll see if it's good or not. So that's my green tea, and it's a very nice ambience with Thailand's scenery on the walls and various things there. You can hear Thai being spoken from the people running the restaurant, so they're obviously Thai. And the prices actually were noticeably lower than in the centre, so I've decided to have, first course I've decided to have tom kha kung, which is prawn soup, or tiger prawn soup, for those of you that don't know Thai, which I dare say is most people, including me. And I'm taking Japanese sushi set for a second to see how they manage it. So I'm having some Thai and some Japanese, which is the idea here, to fuse the two, see how I get on. It's alright, it's reasonable sort of ambience. Certainly it's nice to hear some Thai being spoken in the background. Various menu ideas, or actually placed on the cards, or things to explain to you about the dishes and the things which go into them, which is nice. So that's the tom kha kung, in the middle, and yeah. Right, so let's give it a try, see if it is as good as the one that I like in Orange Moon. Very good, very good indeed. Very sweet, not as harsh as the one in Orange Moon, not as much chilli, more sweetness. Nice if they filled the bowl, I think, but other than that, it's very good. Okay, so this is sushi set B from here, which is, there's 320 crowns, which is not a lot. It's about, what is it, about 60 zlotys. Same as you pay in Warsaw, but now to see if it's the same quality as you get in Warsaw. So I did a bit of the old gold list and drank most of my tea, and then it got very crowded in here all of a sudden, so I can barely hear myself think. Unfortunately, so got a nice atmosphere all the way around.
Use that one in the brain for this sort of thing, but it reroutes when there's damage.
There we go, brain surgery. Right, well I've come out. This camera is coping wonderfully well with what is actually quite low light now. I can see much more off the camera than I can with my eyes. But I just wondered, I'm waiting now for the tram to go back again. I mean, in the end I did 4 kilometres, which wasn't 6, but it was 4. And I suppose I had a reasonable meal for the money from what I expected, but I would have got a lot better. I don't think the sushi, let me just report, it wasn't very good quality-wise. The rice was like rice pudding rice. It was like the same rice as you'd have in the Thai coconut rice. It wasn't proper sushi rice, didn't have proper sushi vinegar in it. It tasted sweet like the coconut rice that they do in Thai restaurants. So it wasn't the right rice to be with those fish. Obviously when you dip it in the soy sauce you can compensate for that, but it wasn't really authentic. The pieces of fish, as you saw, weren't all that big. Most of the maki were just, well, mainly bits of cucumber. There was also a garnish with a bit of cucumber in. Cucumber's okay. It's obviously been grown nicely in the sun, you know. It had a cucumbery flavour, like it was grown organically or in somebody's garden. But, you know, that's bits of cucumber is not what you pay that money for to eat Japanese. I just wonder how it is that when I come down this street in the car and go down this side street here, where you've got to go off into the side away from the trams, there's always a tram up my backside, like there is up that guy now. But here I've actually had to wait for quite some minutes before the tram appeared. I don't know if this is a or which one this is, but 25 looks about right. So she just turned the thing off and wouldn't let me in. Maybe she didn't like being filmed, I don't know. Or maybe she's going back to the base. She went behind herself and manually adjusted the rail, which was interesting. So having waited for this length of time to get a tram, it's now showed its lights off right in front of me and won't let me on. So there we are, not very impressive. Not what I paid a bunch of 26s for earlier this evening to get a whole bunch of tickets. So anyway, the pieces of fish were not big, the rice was not right, there was too much of this cucumber in everything. The other rolls had what was supposed to be flying fish roe, but was in fact just normal lumpfish roe. On them had surimi that you could buy in any shop in the middle. Really, it wasn't very authentic. The amount of ginger, you just got a tiny splodge of ginger, a tiny splodge of ginger. Is this a number 8? Because if it is, then I'm happy. So maybe it's a number 12. Well, at the moment I might take it anyway. So he told me that was not a functional stop. Nothing on there to say it's not a functional stop. The signs are still there. He simply said that I must walk around the corner, but that he won't take me on at that stop. So there we are. That explains the strange behaviour of the other woman. Doesn't quite explain why she didn't tell me. But it's the sort of thing that annoys me about this city. You expect to know things that they don't tell you. If you're not, you know, it's supposed to be geared up for tourists, and yet tourists are gonna, well, I suppose they don't come out this far, do they, mainly, but there were some in that restaurant though. Maybe tourists aren't supposed to use those trams and that. Maybe they're supposed to be using the taxis. Maybe the trams are especially not getting all that more Chinese restaurants. And here's another one, Long Feng. So basically, he's now going to go around the corner and take people from that one. And that one's supposed to go down there, is it? Number 24. So how do I get back on it? Well, In the worst case, of course, I can always walk all the way back again. That might be quite good for me, but I just feel like I want to go to sleep now. So that's why I don't want to spend a lot of time going back. Or energy. I already feel really sleepy. What I need is tram number 8 most of all. Had I got in that one, it would have taken me over there, across the river, over to the zoo or something. Or at least there are other people here, that's usually a good sign.